Panama, Rio India residents announced rallies against the construction of a dam in the Panama Canal basin. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov announced diplomats will hold a meeting with their U.S. counterparts on Thursday in Istanbul. And this Wednesday, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa opened the G20 Summit of Finance and Economic Ministers in Cape Town. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Panama, Rio India residents and several farmer national movements announced rallies against the construction of a dam in the Panama Canal basin. Digna Benitez, former coordinator of LIFE, expressed that the authority of the Panama Canal disseminated fake news about the alleged acceptance of this project. She denounced the questionable and intimidating censuses that do not reflect the will of the people. Benitez recalled that since 1999, farmers have been waging a struggle in defense of their territory against the government program that includes the eviction of productive lands that they have occupied for several generations. That is the case of Rio India, vital for the agricultural and livestock activities of the over 12,000 people. In Venezuela, the head of the state, Nicolás Maduro, emphasized that in 90 days the definitive proposal for the 2025 constitutional reform must be ready. During the meeting of the National Commission for Constitutional Reform, the president stated that once the 60-day debate sessions have been held, the final drafting phase of the proposal generated by the expanded debate should begin. He also stressed that he trusted in the commitment of the deputies of the National Assembly to deliver the 2025 constitutional reform to the National Electoral Council in a reasonable time and to proceed with the referendum elections in the country. In this context, he also stressed that members of the failed opposition bench have reappeared to confuse and sow fear among the Venezuelan people with regard to the 2025 constitutional reform. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, received the Japanese architect Riken Yamamoto at the Simón Bolívar Hall of the Miraflores Palace. During the meeting, proposals were discussed to consolidate urban structures in the country's cities, in addition to advancing towards the self-management of each territory through the organization of the communes. It should be noted that this initiative seeks to strengthen sustainable development and communal self-governance. In this sense, Yamamoto's collaboration with Venezuela strengthens international ties and promotes an innovative approach to urban planning in the region. In this regard, the head of state, Nicolás Maduro, also held a meeting with the great Muslim religion authority of Lebanon, Ali Mohammed al-Ghazawi, to strengthen ties of friendship between Venezuela and Lebanon. During the meeting, President Maduro reaffirmed Venezuela's intentions for both countries to continue strengthening the diplomatic relations established since 1946. Other authorities, such as the representative of the Lebanese embassy in the Venezuelan territory, were also present. In Colombia, police arrested a 40-year-old man who tried to smuggle several bags of cocaine hidden under a carefully placed toupee onto a flight to the Netherlands. According to police, the suspect was arrested on Monday at Cartagena airport as he was about to board a flight to Amsterdam. A scan revealed the hidden shipment of 220 grams of cocaine packed in small bags strategically placed under the narco wig. Police estimate that the street value of the drug to be approximately 10,000 euros on European markets. In this context, a police video captured the moment when an officer wearing blue gloves carefully removes the suspect's wig with scissors, revealing approximately a dozen packets of cocaine.
After scanning this person, we found he had a wig containing more than 220 grams of cocaine, which he intended to take to the Netherlands. With this action, we attach the criminal revenue in Europe with an estimated price of more than 10,000 euros. This is the second detention at the airport in these checkpoints.
La segunda captura que se realiza en el aeropuerto.
We have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Chile has managed to restore electricity to approximately 90% of the country's homes following a massive blackout that affected most of its territory. The blackout, which extended from the Arica region in the north to Los Lagos in the south, left millions of people without electricity and paralyzed essential services such as the subway and mining. President Gabriel Boric declared a state of emergency and established a curfew to guarantee public safety. The National Electricity Coordinator activated a recovery plan to restore service as soon as possible. As electricity is restored, authorities continue to work to fully normalize services in the country.
I made the decision to decree a state of exception due to a catastrophe from Arica and Paranacota regions to Los Lagos region. In addition to a curfew in the same areas from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. on Wednesday. Although we know that in some communes and some sectors, the situation has been gradually declining, it is essential that we all act responsibly because the situation is still unstable.
The Chilean government confirmed that 3 patients depending on electrical devices died during the national power outage. The president of Luz para Ellos Foundation criticized the electric companies for lack of preventive measures. Authorities informed that one of the victims passed away due to the lack of backup generator. Meanwhile, the Interior Minister Carolina Toja added to other deaths, noting that the patient's dismisses will be analyzed thoroughly. In that context, the Viña del Mar International Song Festival called off its activities as a result of Chile's power outage nationwide. After having cancelled the production of the festival, reassigned its activities for next Saturday, March 1st, 2025. On a press release, the event's organizers stated that the confirmed artist will be present on the new date, keeping up with the same agenda. The measure was pursued around 7 p.m. local time, 4 hours following the national power outage. Ecuador increased from 6 to 8 the number of provinces declared an emergency due to the heavy rain season that has hit its territory, leaving 9 dead and almost 1,100 people affected since January. This measure was informed by the Secretary of Risk Management, Jorge Carrillo, in the face of the prolonged and powerful rainfalls that also affected some 16,500 people and more than 5,000 houses, as well as bridges and roads. In addition, on Monday, 4 members of a family died due to a landslide that affected a house in Manabí as a result of the downpours. This situation contrasts with the drought in 2024, the worst in 60 years, that resulted in forest fires and blackouts of up to 14 hours a day due to the affectations in the production of hydroelectric power plants.
This is the first year this has happened. The houses around there didn't used to flood. I have a sister-in-law and her house flooded. The bakery motor, the refrigerator, everything was damaged. Her house filled up with water. Those who have houses, they're going to lose everything. Refrigerators, appliances, beds are lost and damaged because the water reaches a point where you can't fight against nature.
The White House will send permanent residency with a gold card worth $5 million. U.S. President Donald Trump stated so Tuesday from the Oval Office. The card will grant the privilege of permanent residency with the option of becoming a citizen. The U.S. head of state stressed that in addition to providing the funds, applicants must go through a rigorous vetting process to ensure that they are wonderful, world-class global citizens. Notwithstanding, it is remarkable to recall that money laundering is one of the most prevailing crimes in the country. From the United States, social organizations reject the aggressiveness of the Secretary of State Marco Rubio against Cuba, reminding him that the island's cooperation has saved lives all over the world, while Washington exports wars. The Interreligious Foundation for the Community Organization Pastors for Peace has recalled the initiative and programs of the island, such as the Latin American School of Medicine, which has become not only an opportunity to study but also to train sensitive professionals. We have a second story coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Fun short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Qatar, Foreign Minister of Russia Sergei Lavrov announced Russian diplomats will hold a meeting with their U.S. counterparts on Thursday in Istanbul to sort out issues concerning their embassies. Lavrov has specified the encounter is aimed at normalizing bilateral relations, grounded in the fact that both nations had expelled their embassy personnel from the other during the Biden administration. As the Kremlin and Washington have been making negotiations regarding the conflict in Ukraine, tensions have started to diffuse between them.
Our diplomats, high-level experts will meet with U.S. colleagues and consider systemic problems that have accumulated as a result of the illegal activities of the previous administration in creating artificial obstacles to the activities of the Russian embassy in the U.S., naturally. We responded by creating uncomfortable conditions for the work of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow. Such a meeting will take place tomorrow in Istanbul. I think that its results will show how quickly and effectively we can move forward.
U.S. President Donald Trump confirms he will receive his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington on Friday as negotiations are underway on a deal to give the United States access to Ukrainian mineral resources.
Very well with Russia, Ukraine. President Zelensky is going to be coming on Friday. That's now confirmed, and we're going to be signing an agreement which will be a very big agreement.
This Wednesday, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa opened the G20 Summit of Finance and Economic Ministers in Cape Town. Multilateralism is once again become a factor in the opening speeches. Recalling that the group was founded on the principles of cooperation, the President called on the development and emerging powers that make up this alliance to deepen multilateral cooperation. He referred to the escalation of tensions and the unprecedented global uncertainty to underline the importance of working together. The agenda of this conclave focuses on the reform of the financial architecture without neglecting to analyze the tariff threats from the United States, a country that is not attending this meeting.
It is vital to ensuring that the rights and interests of the vulnerable are not trampled beneath the ambitions of the powerful. Multilateral cooperation is our only hope of overcoming unprecedented challenges, including slow and uneven growth, rising debt burdens and levels,
In Gaza, the Medical Aid Directorate warned of the aftermath of the cold wave and the growing shortage of basic supplies. Health authorities detailed that around 35,000 Gazan families have been facing all kinds of shortages of basic services due to over 158 months of Israeli genocide against the Gaza Strip. Furthermore, they estimated that over 60,000 mobile homes and 200,000 tents are required to assist the forcibly displaced for safeguarding them against the effects of extreme weather events. In this context, the United Nations indicated that close to $53 billion are needed to rebuild Gaza. Israeli forces killed 4 civilians in an airstrike in southern Lebanon in yet another violation of the ceasefire agreement. The Lebanese authorities reported that at least 2 people were wounded in the bombing and were taken to nearby medical centers. They also denounced the siege imposed by the troops of the Tel Aviv regime on at least 5 key points in the south of the country, and the violation of the ceasefire agreement signed by Israel with the Islamic resistance movement Hezbollah on November 27, 2024. The Egyptian government has rejected an Israeli proposal to take over Gaza for 8 years in exchange for Israel canceling its foreign debt. The proposal was made at a forum in the United States where the Israeli leader Yair Lapid suggested that Egypt administer Gaza for 8 or possibly 15 years. The Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi rejected this condition, affirming that Egypt would cancel its own debts and condemning the expulsion of the Palestinians from their land. The Egyptian leader called for the ceasefire to be maintained, reiterating his support for Palestine and his commitment to the reconstruction of Gaza, as the idea of U.S. control violates international law and norms. In Sudan, a military plane crashed into Omdurman city, bringing about around 46 deaths and 12 others injured. The accident occurred in the Al Taura town in the Karari district, where the aircraft hit several residential buildings due to a technical failure. The military plane, which took off from the Wadi Saitna base in Khartoum, was bound for the port of Sudan City, the seat of the current government and the army command. Civilians and soldiers, including high-ranking military commanders, were among the fatal casualties. In Nigeria, the gross domestic product rose by 3.8% year-on-year. The National Bureau of Statistics briefed that the driving force behind this breakthrough was broadening by 5.37% the provision of services. Nonetheless, the growth did not 6% target set by Nigerian President Bola Tinubu. Information technology, agriculture, industrial output, oil production, and e-commerce have been ramping up, which paved the way for obtaining higher GDP indexes. Therefore, the International Monetary Fund forecasted Nigerian economy to grow by 3.2% by 2025. In India, Shivaratri festival celebrations carry on Wednesday, summoning thousands of devotees to honor the Hindu god Shiva every year. Shiva is one of the main deities of Hinduism. Thus, worshippers gather in temples to pour water or milk over a rock that represents the god of the sacred trinity Shiva Linga, protector of those seeking enlightenment and trust. Devotees further perform fast and vigils between chants and religious dances to honor the Holy Trinity of Hinduism. This festivity began on January 13th and up to date reports over 500 billion participants. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media as well. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.